Hey everybody, how's it going? Alright, this may very well be my last video before version 11 drops. Elon Musk just tweeted that it would be coming by the end of this week. Now, deadlines always get pushed off and off and off, so we never know really what the reality will be. But I do have an exciting path here plugged in for today. Okay, so let's go ahead and double tap down. And it turns left here. Very good, this is what we want. Alright, so from here I'm going to take over and do a voiceover just so I have a little bit more control since I did put quite a bit of time into the post-editing. You can see this guy crossing the road here. It waits for him, and then there's somebody coming up on the left. You can see that car turns blue, so my car is waiting for them to pass. And as soon as it passes, it goes left. But you can see the tentacle, that blue line, is saying that it's going to go to the right. So it almost like it's confused. It wants to go right, but it needs to go left. It really does need to go left. So I gambled a little bit here, hoping it would sort itself out. It did there, and it did make the left turn. Sometimes it will do the wrong thing in those situations, and it typically happens when you're coming out of a driveway or when you're in a parking lot. Generally speaking, those are the most kind of controversial moments with beta when the tentacle just kind of has a mind of its own. So coming through this area is always really fascinating for me. Usually there's quite a bit of activity. On this particular day, I didn't come across too much stuff going on. There are a lot of parked cars on the side. There you can see several people on the left side. In fact, it mapped out all three of them. And coming up here to the Legoland store, this is right near Woodfield Mall. This is a popular area. So I do disengage here. I did reach my first waypoint. Someone's coming up right behind me, so I did have to drive manually just to be courteous to them and push it to the stop sign. And then as soon as I get to the stop sign, since the next destination's already dialed in, I go ahead and turn it back on again. You can see the creep zone coming out a little bit ahead. It does move forward. It doesn't stop at that creep, which is good. Otherwise, that would have been a little bit uncomfortable with that person behind me. Now I do slow it down here. You can see the crosswalk showing up as a gray matter on the road. It doesn't do anything for that, and you can see there's some pedestrians on the side of the road. So here there's 3 people, but it only maps out 2. So that's a little bit interesting. The accuracy there is not always the greatest. At this intersection, we're waiting for this car on the right. They are blue, so we're yielding to them, and then it passes through the intersection just fine. Now, this is particularly interesting to me. Watch what happens here. So it moves out onto this road, and then it needs to get all the way into the left turn lane to turn left. But watch how it kind of goes back and forth, and the blue tentacle is kind of all over the place. So the steering wheel was jerking quite a bit. Now, over the revisions since October 24th, 2021, when I first received beta, the steering wheel has gotten a lot smoother at handling these things, but that was kind of reminiscent of the old days. It was a little bit all over the map, and I'm not sure why it didn't get into the left turn lane sooner or smoother than it did. But here the tentacle is blue, a solid blue. When it's a light blue color, it's less confident than when it's a solid blue color. So coming forward here, we don't really have any issues. Now, I do change the visualizations here. I did a lot of trial and error with this setup right now, which is how I've filmed all my previous videos. And I said, you know what? I think we can make this a lot more interesting. So here I put a lot of effort into lining it up perfectly so these lines match up. You can see the yellow barrier there on the left. That's indicating kind of the middle median of the road. And then on the far right, you do have the red indicating the edge of the road. So here it gets into the left turn lane. I love how that blue kind of covers up the whole turn lane there. Now, it did choose the right-left turn lane, if that makes any sense, which is correct because after it turns left here, we are going to be turning right. So the lane selection here is correct. Sometimes it's not correct. It seems to be hit or miss. It's gotten a lot better over the year that I've been testing it, I will say. So here, the light turned red as I was under it, and now we're passing by this intersection here, and no issues really. I just think it's fascinating seeing the lines here show up. I do fast forward later on in the video through a lot of this and take a more artistic approach kind of showing you how smooth it is moving through these residential neighborhood areas. So we're not in anything really fancy, but this is considered city street driving mode. So this is the FSD Beta stack that we are dealing with. They're going to be merging the highway stack and the city street stack coming up in version 11. Everybody has been talking about this. It's going to be a really big deal. Really excited for that. Hopefully it gets released here soon. I'm waiting, crossing my fingers. I'll probably be one of the first people to post a video. If it comes out at 1 a.m., I will be getting up at that time and filming. Of course, catching it at 1 a.m. is another story because I'm usually sleeping then. But here it comes through this intersection. It's a green arrow, and it comes through here smoothly. I don't end up having to do anything, which is really, really nice. I didn't have to step on the accelerator. Sometimes it's hit or miss whether it can smoothly merge after making a turn like that. But in this situation, I didn't have any problems. And here it does go with the correct speed. Every so often, I do need to bump the speed up because sometimes it goes too slow or it doesn't register the speed limit sign in time, or it's very rare that I have to dial the speed down. It's usually I'm dialing it up. Now, if I'm testing in slippery conditions, I'm dialing it down all the time. And if I'm down in downtown Chicago, for example, I'm also dialing it down quite a bit. But in residential neighborhood areas and also on the highways, I'm almost always bringing the speed up past what it's set for. So going through this light, it is 45 miles per hour. I am dialed in for 50 miles per hour, although you can't see it on the screen. That's the speed that I'm going. So here I do speed up this passage. Not really too much going on here. Pass through this intersection, and you can see here it's indicating to turn left. So there's a car in the way, and it will not turn left. Now the difference here between the city street and the highway is that on the highway you do need to put a little bit of force on the steering wheel to allow it to change lanes. However, when you have FSD Beta and it initiates a lane change, it does everything automatically, no feedback required. So coming up here, I thought it was interesting. We get in the left turn lane. You can see it signals and moves over. Love the visualization there. Very clear. And now look forward past this car. You can see the yellow lines showing up past the car. Now, my camera is mounted on the top of my car, so it's even harder for where the cameras are located for it to see past that car. So I thought it was really cool that it actually picked that up. Now it comes through this neighborhood, and you can see a bike lane. This presents a little bit of a problem coming up here, and it startled me a little bit. I wasn't sure why it was behaving this way, but watch here. You're going to see right now it tries to initiate a lane change. There's no other lane to change into. Very strange that it came up there temporarily. You'll see that happen multiple times on this road, and I do think that it's related to that bike lane. Watch here. Once again, it tries to turn left, and you can see the left turn signal turning on. It's signaling to go left. Really bizarre here. I do take another angle here with the full screen. It says changing lanes to follow route. Now there's no lane to change into, and it's already going the correct route, so it doesn't really make a ton of sense here. This is the last time I'll show this. But you can see in the middle, the lines become like dotted lines, and then they change to two double yellow lines. So not sure what's going on there. It seems to get that wrong quite frequently, I've noticed. And I don't know if that's related to the lines on the road, like the paint, or what. But here coming up again in this neighborhood, watch what happens here. This is absolutely fascinating. So I slow this down significantly so you can see there again, it's trying to initiate a lane change. Very bizarre. I'll show you that here. Once again, we're passing over this kind of big area, open area on the right. And then right here, it doesn't even, oh no it does, it turns on the right turn signal. You can see the right turn signal turn on, and it's trying to go right, but there's nowhere to turn right. And in this case, there's no bicycle lane. So not quite sure why it's doing that. Now watch this. It turns on its right turn signal to turn right, and that area right there, look at this, there's a person over there with a dog, and I didn't notice this until later. But if you see the screen here, I slow it down, there's the person, but there's no dog. The dog doesn't even show up. And right at that moment, it tries to turn right into another lane, changing lanes to follow route, use turn signal to cancel. It happens so quickly, I didn't get a chance to cancel it. But there's no lane to change into. So this seems to happen randomly on these roads, and I'm not sure why. I think it might be a bug, but it's not, it corrects itself. It's never really tried to turn into the curb, for example, or anything like that. So I'm not too concerned. But here I switch back to the visualizations, and the drive here through the rest of this neighborhood is relatively uneventful until we come to this intersection coming up, which I wanted to draw some attention to. Coming up here, it does turn right. This is going into this little turnaround area. So there's a waypoint in here, and I had to turn it off and then back on again. So I just zoom out of there. I passed over that. It did make it through there just fine. Now take a look at this. It comes to this intersection, and there's a car turning left here, but my car is going straight. Okay, so it has to negotiate with all of this traffic and find a gap. So right here, after this car turns, I'm looking for the gap myself, trying to find the natural moment when me as a human driver would go. Meanwhile, there's two people coming up behind me. There were some pedestrians that ended up going the other way, but you'll see the line, the tentacle, is like a light blue. Now watch, when it turns solid blue, that's indicating it's time to go. And that's right when I noticed as a human that it was the appropriate time to go. So right after this next car passes, right here. Watch. Okay. Oh, no, excuse me. It's this one. Hang on. Okay, right there. Okay. So that's when I would have gone. So I should have stepped on the accelerator. It actually stopped. It almost went backwards a little bit, which is kind of weird. So these cars, I give them enough gap, and then this just gets uncomfortable. It creeps a little bit more. That car actually honks at me. So then I'm like, okay, I got to get out of here. So I stepped on the accelerator to make it through there. It got a little bit uncomfortable. Beta sometimes just doesn't handle that very well. Some people have said that the camera placement is creating that issue. I don't know. Sometimes it does it well, other times it doesn't. So because of that, it's really hard to kind of give a solid review one way or the other, but I'm optimistic more than I am pessimistic. So at this point, I disabled beta because I keep getting a please pay attention to the road message. Very annoying. I got a new mount for my phone. It's in the cup holder and it's very sensitive. So word of caution, if you're getting that message, drop your phone, put it out of sight. Don't use it. Now look at this. I'm turning left, going around this person that's turning left as well. This was really, really awkward. Very uncomfortable. So my car just takes off, cuts him off completely, and goes around him. I did not agree with that move. I probably should have taken over there. So that was like, just really irritating. Sometimes it does things like that and just is not appropriate. But yes, no, if you guys are using beta out there, anybody watching my channel and trying to learn from, and I've documented the in-cabin camera and the driver monitoring system extensively, the cell phone thing is very strict. So it knows when you're using a cell phone. It knows if it's anywhere within reach. So keep your cell phone out of the way. Do not use it at all. So even in this case, I wasn't even using it. It was just mounted on from my cup holder. So I'm in this neighborhood. That was the next waypoint, and moving forward through this neighborhood. Now this is nearing the end of the drive, so I go fast through this area, and I'm using some of the audio here because I think it's fascinating that you can just hear the car stopping and starting. So I will shut up now, and you can kind of listen to the rest of the drive. All right, so thanks a lot so much for watching. Overall, I'd say that beta did fairly well in this drive. There were a couple interventions, a couple weird issues that arose. I did get 2 please pay attention to the road messages, and again, that was due to my phone being in view of the in-cabin camera. I'll see you guys in the next one.